I've spent the entire last year trying to figure out what I'm about to tell you in 90 seconds, which is how you can go from being in injuries and pain back to enjoying the sport you love, actually breaking through that wall and staying there as well, right? Not being stuck on this side. And it's not the processed food, cutting that out. I hope you've already done that by now. It's also not the physio, not the surgeries, not the painkillers, not the cold therapy, all the stuff you've already tried and hasn't worked, because if it did, you probably wouldn't be here. I want to share with you today some bulletproof truth that I've seen to be the most efficient way to go from injuries and pain back to the sport you love. And it's called the 3R system, right? The 3R system, it consists of rejuvenating, rebuilding, and then returning back to your sport, which allows us, with these 3 pillars that we have, which is rejuvenating, rebuilding, and returning back to the sport. Combining these 3 will eventually get you through that wall and actually have you stay there as well. Not using all these 3 will either have you not coming through at all, or you try and cheat your way back to the sport you love and you get thrown right back. It's all about implementing all these 3 steps. That's what's the key. Rejuvenating, make your joint feel better. Rebuilding, actually build your joints, not just your muscles. We're not bodybuilders. Returning back to your sport is then all about regaining that confidence and that sport-specific movement. Progressively overloading and not just rushing back to the sport you love. Cool. 3R system. Let's actually break it down in a little bit more detail than I've just given you, because obviously you've probably never heard of this before. And I haven't heard of this before either, before I actually looked into what I was doing with my clients, the systems I was applying, the principles I was following. And then I came together with Liam in terms of, okay, what we're doing, helping athletes. We'll now build this brand, Bulletproof Ballers, where we're going to go really hard 2025, actually pushing this system, this message, this bulletproof truth that we're sharing, pushing that out there. So Liam actually categorized what he was doing with his clients, what I was doing with my clients pretty well. And he named it the 3R system, because what we're doing every time a person comes to us with pain, with injuries, after surgery, whatever the situation is, if someone's in pain, not feeling good, you want to rejuvenate that area. What does that actually mean? It means you give life back to that area. You make it feel alive again, right? Because probably circulation hasn't been optimal, or there's been, actually loads of stuff going on in that area in terms of pain, in terms of scar tissue, in terms of whatever. Like if you've gone through a surgery, you need to get life back to that area, right? Even if it's been chronic pain and you haven't gone through a surgery, you need to get life back to that area and make it feel good. That's the goal really of the rejuvenating phase. And that's what we're doing, right? Through short range movement, through different principles that I'm going to share along. Liam is sharing on his channel as well. But through this series, I'm going to go into that as well. Short range, long range, how you can actually rejuvenate the joint, ankles, knees, hips, all that stuff, even muscle tissue, all that stuff. The key here is really to get the joint to feel better, right? To sum it up, get the joint to feel better. So then when you actually get into the rebuilding phase, and that's the part often people skip, right? After a surgery, they kind of skip straight to the rebuilding, but the joint is still not feeling good. Like you're kind of trying to rebuild that foundation on top of a painful joint or body, stiff, whatever. It's not really feeling good. So the game changer is really getting the area to feel good beforehand, so that when we go into the rebuilding phase, we can actually go hard, right? We can actually rebuild that joint dominance, regain that mobility, which will be the majority of the whole plan that we're going through, or the whole step, all the steps that you need to be taken in order to get back to the sport, right? The rebuilding phase is the biggest thing, but it's really, really key to get these little wins already, right? After surgery, or if you're dealing with pain, this little win of just getting you to feel a little bit better is going to be huge. It's going to give you the confidence as well to then go into rebuilding harder. So let's actually put this down here. Feel better, just to put it really, really simple. Rebuilding, regain joint dominance. I talk about this in other videos in more detail. and mobility. Both of these are mobility. Wow, really can't write on the whiteboard. Regain joint dominance and mobility, which are absolutely key to give you that childlike feeling back. And also, since we're athletes, we need to have strong and healthy joints that are able to handle what we're putting them through, right? If we're running, we're jumping, we're doing all that stuff, our joints need to be healthy. Our connective tissue, the tendons, ligaments, all that stuff needs to be strong. Together with the mobility, combining that, it will really give us that childlike feeling, which will then allow us to really feel confident. Okay, now, obviously, before you go back to the sport, and this is also then a step that often gets skipped, which is return to sport. Okay, what's actually needed to return to sport? Some do the leg extension, kick out tests, do box jumps, do sprints, all that stuff. But what people often miss is to actually build that up over time and not rushing through that, because right now you're, okay, I've gone through the rehab that long, like it's already been 6 or 9 months or whatever. I should be able to get back now as soon as possible. I want to get back as soon as possible. And then you rush this phase and you return too early. And unfortunately, then we see so many re-injuries, right? 50% of the people that get back from an ACL injury re-injure themselves somewhere within the next couple of years, right? 50%. So returning to sport, if we skip that step and not actually build up elite levels of ability, that's really the key here, because we need to get back that plyometric ability. Let me put that down here as well, because our sports are plyometrics, right? Sprinting, jumping, decelerating, plyometrics ability. And I know this is not the most beautiful writing again, but this is not like rejuvenate, rebuild, return to sport. You've heard it now. You got a little bit of a better understanding why it's actually key to go through all these 3 steps to actually break through that wall and stay on the other side as well. If you skip any of them, you will not do yourself a favor, right? And there's no point in really skipping them, because we've applied this to over 100 people already, getting them back to the sport they love, one-to-one. And even you could apply this for yourself. If you see, okay, what you're currently going through, your physio maybe is not really taking the return to sport that serious, or you're just doing some box jumps, some sprints, and not actually, doing plyometrics where you have to be able to absorb forces, right? Plyometrics that really are looking at the side-to-side imbalances that you probably have as well, because like a single leg bound, right? Or bounce from side to side, are you doing stuff like that before you turn back to the sport? Because imbalances is also another big reason for re-injuries, right? Or for even an injury happened before, and then you say, okay, yeah, I get back to 100% of the other leg, try and rebalance that strength there, but the imbalance is still there because the measurements and others. I could sorry for rambling on here. No, this is we're getting away from the topic, but rejuvenating, rebuilding, return to sport, that's all you need to know for now. And the other thing is obviously to stay around, right? We're only at day 5 of the Bulletproof Truth, and I've already given you some gems, hopefully, that if you've been looking at the other days, and it's gonna keep going like this for weeks and weeks to come, for you to actually have all the knowledge you need to take it in your own hands, or actually know that you can get back to the sport you love without pain, feeling better than ever. And there's more to this than just obviously this 3R system that we're using, but the overview, the idea behind it of actually getting yourself to feel better, regain the joint dominance and mobility, and then build up these elite levels of plyometric ability, and only then going back to the sport, that's what we've seen never to fail, really. If someone stuck to that, never failed. So I hope this helped. We'll see us day 6 of the Bulletproof Truth. Peace.